What happens when a mission is so dangerous that even success feels like a mistake? Beneath the ocean, far from headlines and applause, crews were sent into silence with orders that could never be explained out loud. Some missions pushed technology too far. Others pushed people past their limits. Halfway through this list, one quiet operation proves that survival was never the real goal. And by the end, you may realize why some stories were never meant to surface. Around the World. Under the Sea, 1966. This mission looks bold on paper, but feels unsettling the moment it begins. A nuclear submarine is ordered to circle the entire planet without surfacing. No ports, no sunlight, no reset button. The film presents it as a technical challenge, but beneath that surface is something darker. The real threat is not the ocean. It is endurance. Inside the submarine, days blur together. The crew lives under artificial light, recycled air, and constant vibration. Small system issues grow louder because there is nowhere to escape them. A single mistake could force an emergency rise and end the mission in public failure. The longer they stay submerged, the more the pressure shifts from machines to minds. What makes this story feel classified is its quiet tension. There are no dramatic battles, no explosions, just long stretches of silence broken by alarms and whispered doubts. The submarine becomes a moving test chamber, measuring how long humans can function when the world above might as well not exist. The film mirrors real Cold War thinking. Prove dominance without being seen. Stay hidden no matter the cost. By the end, the success feels hollow. The mission works, but you are left wondering whether finishing was actually worth what it demanded from the people inside that steel shell. Ice Station Zebra, 1968. Ice Station Zebra drops its submarine beneath frozen seas, where the margin for error disappears fast. The mission is simple in theory. Reach the Arctic, retrieve critical information. Leave without being noticed. In reality, every mile under ice turns the submarine into a trapped animal. The danger here is layered. First, there is the environment. Thick ice above, freezing water below. Surfacing is not an option unless you want to stay there forever. Then comes the human threat. Suspicion spreads through the crew as sabotage becomes clear. Someone on board does not want the mission to succeed. What elevates this story is how isolation fuels paranoia. The submarine is sealed tight, and trust becomes just as important as navigation. Every sound matters. Every delay raises the risk of discovery. Even success carries consequences, because bringing the truth back could expose how vulnerable global defenses really are. This feels like a mission buried by choice. Not because it failed, but because admitting how close it came to disaster would raise uncomfortable questions. Ice Station. Zebra understands that secrecy is not always about hiding mistakes. Sometimes it is about hiding how fragile control really is beneath the ice. The Bedford Incident, 1965. This mission is dangerous not because of depth or machinery, but because of stubborn pride. A submarine becomes the silent center of a growing crisis as surface forces hunt an unseen opponent. No one fires, no one shouts, and yet everything is on the edge. The Bedford Incident turns underwater silence into a ticking clock. A commander obsessed with procedure pushes his crew further, chasing certainty in a situation that offers none. The submarine below never speaks, but its presence bends every decision above the water. What makes this feel like a classified nightmare is how small choices spiral. A misunderstood signal, a delayed response, a moment where caution is replaced by confidence. The film shows how quickly discipline can turn into danger when leaders stop listening. The submarine mission itself remains mostly invisible, and that is the point. The real threat is escalation. One wrong assumption could trigger consequences far beyond the ocean. This is the kind of story officials would rather summarize than explain, because the lesson is uncomfortable. The Bedford Incident proves that the most dangerous missions are not always about technology. Sometimes they are about people who believe control means never backing down. Grey Lady Down, 1978. Grey Lady Down begins after everything has already gone wrong. A submarine rests on the ocean floor, damaged and slowly losing air. The mission is no longer about orders or strategy. It is about time. Inside the submarine, the crew waits. Lights dim, air thins. Small movements are measured because energy itself becomes precious. Above the surface, rescue teams debate methods, knowing that every delay tightens the clock. What makes this story powerful is its realism. There is no hero moment that fixes everything. Each solution introduces new risks. Each attempt could collapse the hull or seal the crew's fate. The ocean does not rush, and it does not care. This feels like a mission that would be quietly filed away, not because it failed, but because it shows how limited control really is once a submarine is pinned down. Even the best planning cannot erase physics. Grey Lady Down turns survival into a waiting game. And by the end, you understand why underwater disasters are often spoken about carefully. The truth is heavy, and the silence afterward feels earned. Submarine X-1, 1968. Submarine X-1 follows a mission that feels doomed the moment it is assigned. A small, unreliable underwater craft is sent toward enemy waters with limited training and limited hope. The crew knows the risks. They go anyway. The vessel itself feels fragile. Every dive strains its limits. Every sound risks discovery. There is no room for error because there is no backup plan waiting beyond the hull. Once launched, the crew belongs to the mission. What sets this story apart is its honesty. Fear is not hidden. Doubt is not brushed aside. The crew moves forward because stopping is not an option. The tension comes from knowing that success may not mean survival. This is the kind of mission history would simplify. A line in a report, a short summary. But the film lingers on the cost. Long hours, tight spaces, decisions made under pressure with no guarantee of return. Submarine X-1 feels classified because it exposes something uncomfortable. Sometimes bravery is not about winning. It is about accepting that the mission might never let you come back the same. Run Silent, Run Deep, 1958. This mission starts with a promise that already feels dangerous. A submarine commander takes his crew into hostile waters with one goal in mind: stay silent, stay hidden, and go deeper than safety allows. The ocean is not the main threat here. Obsession is. As the submarine moves forward, silence becomes heavy. Every sound inside the hull feels louder than it should. The crew senses that this mission is personal, not strategic. Decisions are made quickly, sometimes without explanation, and the margin for error shrinks with every dive. What makes this story feel like something that would be locked away is the way leadership pressure spreads. The crew follows orders even when doubt grows. No one wants to be the voice that breaks discipline. The deeper they go, the harder it becomes to turn back without admitting failure. The film shows how underwater missions can quietly shift from controlled operations into tests of will. The ocean does not argue. It waits. And when commanders push too far, it answers without warning. Run Silent, Run Deep captures why some missions are never fully discussed afterward, not because they failed, but because success came too close to costing everything. The Enemy Below, 1957. This mission turns the ocean into a chessboard. A submarine and a surface vessel hunt each other in silence, each move calculated, each pause loaded with tension. No one can afford impatience. One mistake ends the game. The danger here is patience itself. The submarine crew must wait, listen, and trust instincts without confirmation. Every sonar ping feels like a spotlight. Every maneuver risks exposure. The ocean offers no cover once sound gives you away. What makes this feel like a classified encounter is the mutual respect between enemies. Both sides understand the risks. Both know that survival depends on discipline, not aggression. This is not chaos. It is restraint under pressure. The film strips underwater conflict down to its core. No speeches, no spectacle, just long stretches of waiting, broken by sudden decisions. It shows how submarine missions demand emotional control as much as technical skill. The Enemy Below feels authentic because it understands that silence is not empty. It is active, and those who break it first usually lose. Das Boot, 1981. Few films make the ocean feel this unforgiving. Das Boot traps its crew inside a steel tube and slowly removes every illusion of control. The mission begins with confidence, but confidence does not survive depth. As the submarine dives, pressure builds both outside and inside the hull. Systems fail, air thickens. Water leaks through seams that were never meant to bend this far. The crew does not panic, they endure. And that endurance becomes the real test. What makes this feel like a story buried by time is its honesty. There is no glory here, just exhaustion and fear managed through routine. Long hours of waiting are suddenly broken by chaos, then replaced again by silence. The film understands that underwater missions are psychological wars. The ocean does not rush, it compresses. It waits for mistakes. Every decision echoes longer than expected. Das Boot shows why some missions are remembered quietly. Because surviving does not mean escaping unchanged. Sometimes it only means making it back to the surface with less certainty than you started with. Destination Tokyo, 1943. This mission sends a submarine deep into enemy-controlled waters with orders that demand total secrecy. The goal is infiltration, not confrontation. The danger lies in being noticed at all. The submarine moves slowly, avoiding patrol routes, navigating tight spaces where surfacing would mean exposure. Inside, the crew works with calm precision, knowing that discovery would end everything at once. There is no backup plan waiting offshore. What gives this story weight is how much depends on timing. Every delay increases risk. Every sound carries consequences. The submarine becomes less a vehicle and more a hiding place moving through hostile space. This feels like a mission that would be quietly summarized in records, a success on paper, a strain on everyone involved. The film captures how underwater operations rely on restraint more than force. Destination Tokyo reminds us that some missions are dangerous not because of action, but because of how long they require you to remain invisible. Morning Departure, 1950. Morning departure begins after disaster strikes. A submarine lies disabled beneath the surface, its crew trapped with limited air and no certainty of rescue. The mission becomes survival itself. Inside the hull, time slows. Conversations soften, movements are careful. Every breath matters. The crew understands the situation clearly, and that clarity makes it heavier. There are no false hopes here, only patience. Above the surface, rescue efforts face impossible odds, equipment limitations, uncertain conditions, and the reality that even a perfect plan might arrive too late. The ocean holds all the power. What makes this feel like a story rarely told is its restraint. There is no dramatic rescue rush, just steady pressure from the environment and quiet acceptance from those waiting below. Morning Departure shows why some submarine missions are spoken about with care, not because of what happened, but because of how helpless everyone felt watching time run out beneath the waves. Hell Below, 1933. This mission comes from the early days of underwater warfare, when submarines were still experimental and trust in them was fragile at best. The vessel in Hell Below feels less like a machine and more like a gamble. Every dive risks failure. Every system feels temporary. The crew operates with limited information and even fewer guarantees. Inside the submarine, noise control is crude, navigation is uncertain, and depth limits are more suggestion than rule. When problems emerge, there is no advanced system to lean on. Decisions are made face to face, under pressure, without layers of safety. What makes this mission feel like one that would quietly disappear from records is how exposed everyone is. There is no illusion of dominance. The ocean dictates every outcome. The submarine survives not because it is superior, but because the crew adapts faster than disaster can catch them. The film captures a time when underwater missions were acts of belief as much as planning. You trusted the hull, you trusted your crew, and you hoped the sea would allow you back. Hell Below reminds us that some of the most dangerous missions were not hidden by choice. They faded because early survival depended more on courage than control. Crimson Tide, 1995. This mission never surfaces, yet it nearly changes everything above the water. A nuclear submarine receives an incomplete message during a global standoff, placing its crew in an impossible position. Acts on the information, or wait in silence and risk losing control of the situation entirely. The danger here is not technical failure, it is human judgment under isolation. Conflicting interpretations turn routine procedure into confrontation. Inside the submarine, authority blurs. Orders are questioned. Time feels compressed. Every second of delay adds weight to every decision. What makes this feel like a classified nightmare is how quickly control slips. The submarine is cut off from clear confirmation. Silence blocks clarity. There is no outside voice to settle the argument. No wider view to provide context. Just a few people sealed underwater, carrying responsibility far larger than themselves. The film exposes how submarine missions magnify pressure like nothing else. Isolation removes safety nets. Protocols collide with conscience. Leadership becomes a test, not a title. Crimson Tide reminds us that some missions remain hidden because they reveal uncomfortable truths. Even the most disciplined environments depend entirely on restraint when silence takes over and certainty disappears. Number 1. The Hunt for Red, October, 1990. This is the mission that defines silent danger. A submarine slips beneath the ocean, carrying technology so advanced that its disappearance becomes a global concern. Finding it matters. Understanding it matters more. And all of it must happen without anyone being seen or heard. The tension here comes from invisibility. crews operate without knowing who is tracking them, if anyone is listening, or how close Discovery really is. Navigation becomes a careful guessing game. Every adjustment is measured.